hours a week. But if the car is autonomous, it can probably, this is just speculation, but it probably can operate for a third of the hours in the week, which would mean 50 or more hours, thus a 5-fold increase. But the car costs the same.
Sure, I understand, but what is going to be the margin for Tesla then? Because you're obviously thinking you're going to sell much more FSD then, right? You may have a system in place of robotaxis. You may have a cut with fleets. So did you do any projections what the automotive peak margin for Tesla could be in 2 years, 5 years, and the same for energy?
Well, I mean, this is definitely, we're in sort of highly speculative territory here. But obviously, if you've got a car that costs the same and has, say, I don't know, a 20 or 25% margin, and suddenly is able to be used 5 times as much, then you might have 80% margins, and the revenue would increase several-fold. That's why I say it's probably going to be the biggest asset value step change in history of Earth. And energy does not have simply does not have such an increase in asset utilization. So I would expect energy to remain at sort of a 25%-ish to 30% margin.
All right, so you said ask the tough questions. You're still good, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. First of all, though, as a family man, I just want to say there's a couple of things like a loop for tether of a car seat going through the headrest, which would be super helpful. There's a couple other things that would be really nice. The Model Y is the only one you can do that in today. Maybe we could fix that. But when we're thinking about 4680 battery cells, should we be thinking about the efficiency and the performance we're getting today? Or is there some updated timeline path that we could see closer to battery day presented efficiency, performance that we can look to in the future?
Well, I think, first of all, it's really important to express the difficulty of, for Tesla to go from nothing to making a battery cell that we aspire to be better than any other battery cell on Earth, even when compared to companies where the only thing they do is make a battery cell, is obviously not a trivial exercise. That said, we do see a path to very high energy density and higher energy density and lower costs than anything else out there. But it's a hard path. It's a very hard path. And normally it would be absurd for companies to attempt such a thing. And no other car company is really attempting to do anything like this in a serious way. So I guess technically BYD, because they started out as a battery company, but yeah, so it's a very difficult thing to do. But I think we are tracking to success in that regard. So.
Hey, Elon. First of all, thank you for undoubtedly making the world a better place for my son to live in.
Thank you. It's kind of you say.
Once Cybertruck is fully ramped in Austin, what is the target production? And also, there's some rumors that you're thinking about stepping down as CEO. Please say it ain't so.
It ain't so. Yeah. So I think Tesla's going to play an important role in AI and AGI, and I think I need to oversee that to make sure it's good. So, because that's a thorny problem if there ever was one. I think generally people do not, or very few people, even in the AI community, do not appreciate just how much capability Tesla has in AI. It's by far the most advanced real-world AI. There's no one even close. And reality has the most degrees of freedom. So I got to make sure that's good. So, and you were saying something?
Cybertruck fully ramps
Oh,
here in
yeah,
Austin.
yeah.
Target production.
So, as I said, we'll start production later this year. We'll start handing over cars later this year. There will be an S-curve of production, so it'll be slow at first, and then ramping up. And I guess we'll see what the demand is like. So, I mean, I think we're likely to do probably 250,000 a year, I think, maybe more. Again, very much dependent on what the demand is like, and it's we don't just need to ramp up production, but we also need to improve the production cost efficiency, which is going to be also a very, very hard thing. So, but I'd say it's, 250,000 a year is a reasonable guess. And it might be 500,000, I don't know, but we'll make as many as people want and can afford, but then, like I said, it's going to be hard to make the cost affordable because it is a new car, new manufacturing method. So, in the grand scheme of things, relative to the production rate of all the other cars we make, it will be small, but still very cool. Yeah, thanks.
Elon, maybe 3 more questions?
Sure.
Oh, thank you. Good day, Mr. Musk. Hello, my name is Delia Archer, and this question aims to address Tesla's efforts in developing skilled workforce, attracting diverse talent, and promoting career opportunities within the company. When I look around, I see a lot of young faces, and I think about internships and apprenticeships for students in high school and beyond. My question is, are there any plans to expand existing partnerships and explore new avenues for collaborations with educational institutions and nonprofit organizations to attract the next generation and vary career pathways?
Yeah, actually, with all of our gigafactories, we work with the local schools, actually from the high school level, community college, and university, because it's incredibly important to foster the talent for the factories. As you saw from the employment numbers, we actually need a lot of people. Even though we've got a lot of automation, we still need a lot of people to operate the factories, and it really matters that they have the right training. So we're big believers in reaching out to educational institutions, and because frankly, it's in our interest to do so. So thank you for asking the question. All right.
Elon, Josh Fuller. I had originally thought of asking about the fun police and pushing back on the boombox and allowing us to screech at people with goats again. But after seeing Optimus, I was inspired to ask, has anybody asked Optimus's opinion of Mars, and does he have a ticket yet?
Well, Optimus is not a deep thinker at this point. So Optimus is still, figuring out how to do basic stuff. It couldn't make, cook some eggs or something quite yet. So we need to get Optimus to the point where it has reasonable agility and can do basic things. And we're aiming for it to start off doing simple tasks that are sort of boring and repetitive or dangerous, basically jobs people don't want to do. So that's our goal, and I'm confident we'll achieve that goal. And then we got to figure out how to make it at scale, make sure that the robot is safe. I think it's going to be very important to have a local means of turning it off. So safety is going to be extremely important. I can't emphasize that enough. But right now, it is not at an intelligence level where it's pondering questions like Mars. But perhaps it will be one day. So.
Hi, good afternoon, Elon. My name is Luke Arsenal. I just want to start off by saying a big thank you to you and the team of Tesla for all you guys do. It's been great to see, and I'm so happy for you guys. My question is, with the rise in cybersecurity threats to operational technology and Internet of Things, what steps is Tesla taking to protect the company itself and its products from these threats? Also, as a suggestion, because I know you like suggestions, for the navigation, do you think we could do something on the UI that adds in when you're about to take the off-ramp to show a picture of that exit, kind of like other map systems do? And then also...
Oh man, this is a lot of questions.
One of my friends wanted to get a shaka from you, if that's possible.
Okay. Well, we are constantly improving the navigation system, and being robust to hacking is incredibly important. In fact, we conduct a lot of sort of third-party hacking contests to try to get the best hackers in the world to break into our cars. And actually, no one has yet actually broken into a Tesla in a way that would allow you to really control the car in a significant way. But they have gotten to where they can like honk the horn and mess with the infotainment system. And I'd like to thank them for their efforts. So we take information security extremely seriously. For navigation, yeah, there's definitely things we can improve there. But really, down the road, navigation visuals are not going to matter very much because the car is going to take you wherever you want to go. As for pictures, I have to decline, unfortunately, because otherwise, if I say, I actually hate being rude to people. So if I say yes to one person, then it's like selfies for a zillion. It gets kind of crazy. So, but thanks for asking. Maybe we'll take one or two more questions, actually. So, sure. I don't know.
Okay, is your...
Sorry. Hello. I had a question on the efficiency. I don't know if you've been paying attention to Aptera, and I was curious if you thought that was a space that you could see Tesla getting into, as far as not just an efficient manufacturing process, but also the actual car itself and range. Or just buy.
I'm not super familiar with them, but we have a lot of we have a lot of products to get done. It's not like it's never a shortage of ideas. Ideas, frankly, I find ideas to be somewhat trivial, but the execution of the idea is extremely difficult. And as I said, like prototypes are easy, production is hard. Production and cash flow positive is excruciating pain that like at a level you cannot believe. So it's not product ideas; they're irrelevant. That's what I think of them. It's sort of like the idea of going to the moon. That's not that's irrelevant. Getting to the moon is the hard part. So, okay. So maybe one last question. Yeah.
Elon, John Lopez from Orlando here. I've got two things for you real quick. The first one is with rideshare being a growing thing, especially with Tesla owners, are we going to get a guest mode option available for that? The second thing is as an X-Plaid owner, I would really love to get track mode.
As a what, sorry?
X-Plaid.
Well, Plaid has track mode.
The Model X Plaid does not, though.
Oh, Model X. Yeah, we can probably add that, sure. Yeah, no problem. So, rideshare is a bunch of these things will really not be relevant in a self-driving world. You can summon the car and take you somewhere, and if you want to add someone to that ride, you can if you want to. But overwhelmingly, it is about achieving full self-driving. And I think we're really getting to the final stages of full self-driving where, I drove for several days around Austin, just dropping pins in random locations, and had 0 safety interventions. So it's really, and even in the city of San Francisco, which is very complex, I haven't had a safety intervention in a long time. So I think it's getting to the point where, admittedly, I have been optimistic about this in the past, But I think this time. All right, I won't say it. All right, fair enough. All right. Okay, I think it'll happen, you know. So, all right. You want one last question? Sure.
So first, congratulations on your decision to try advertising. We all want Tesla to pass
Oh, man.
Apple in market cap.
I didn't realize people wanted it that much. Okay.
It's good that a lot of people agree. So earlier this year, you cut prices on everything, 15, 20%. More recently, you've been raising prices on Model Y, Model S, Model X. And can you just talk about the pricing strategy on Model Y going forward and keep it separate from the decision to bring out the next-gen vehicles that we all agree is going to, blow the doors off on volume. But just on Model Y, it's the best-selling product in the world. Can you just talk about strategy of pricing going forward on that?
I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, we see what the demand is, and then we adjust pricing to meet the demand. Now, the thing is that what happens with other car makers is that they're actually constantly adjusting pricing on cars. It's just not obvious. In the case of Tesla, you can see immediately when there's a price change that occurs because we don't have any intermediaries, don't have any dealers. There's no manufacturer's suggested retail price. But the reality is actually at car dealers, the prices are changing radically. I mean, last year there were significant premiums above MSRP at sort of the conventional car dealer, so you'd pay above MSRP last year. And then this year I think things are below MSRP or close to it. And then the manufacturers will then also offer incentives. So what's actually happening are very big price shifts by other car makers. They're just not obvious. Whereas with Tesla, it's obvious. And this is necessary because demand fluctuates a lot. So something's got to be done to achieve a supply-demand clearing point for volume. So just people are reacting to something that's obvious as opposed to saying, oh, yes, every car company does this all the time. Tesla is no exception. That's the actual reality. So, all right. So.
Last question.
I'll be really quick.
Okay.
So I will say I have been driving FSD. My wife drives FSD. There's a term called the wife test. My wife will only drive our kids on FSD. It's incredible.
That is a great. I mean, the sort of significant other test is a very a good test because for a while there was like friends or significant others would be like, please don't put it on. It's too scary. But then it's getting to the point where it's going to be just smooth as silk. So in fact, you'll be able to visually tell, perhaps even now you can, visually tell if the car is being driven on FSD or manually, because if it's being driven on FSD, it's smooth and precise. And if you look at if you actually closely observe cars going down the highway, the people are constantly moving in their lanes. So the cars are like doing this all the time when they're manually driven. If it's actually on FSD, it's dead center in the lane. It will actually get to the point where it is not merely, and maybe is at that point, not merely safer than a person, but actually way smoother than manual driving. I can't say enough about the profundity of full self-driving. It is just one of the biggest changes in history that will occur. It's not some feature. it's like a profound. It's really as profound as electrification. And we already have millions of the cars on the road that will literally achieve this with a software update. I mean, that's like head exploding emoji, I think probably a lot of people in this room realize it, but most of the rest of the world doesn't. Yeah, so.
Given how incredible FSD is and how much merit you're giving to potential future margins of the car, as well as how much impact on society, and given that they didn't even want you to say if it's going to happen this year, just not to jinx it.
Sure.
Would it be possible to have just for some type of public-facing, investor-facing kind of timeline, so that way, you mentioned V12 is coming, and that's AI front end. Could we just see kind of a timeline on this is the version we're at? These are the things we're working on, and this is when we're, ETA. So we can kind of see that in real time instead of maybe Elon time.
No, so the thing that's been, really difficult with full self-driving is that it very often seems like it's about to happen until you realize that you're actually at a local maximum, and that you need to re-architect elements of the software to get out of the local maximum to then a higher local maximum. So it's been this sort of series of logarithmic curves. And that's why it's been like, it seemed like, oh, if you just extrapolate this on a straight line, it gets to self-driving, except that it's not a straight line, it's a logarithmic curve, and it sort of, and you start hitting these like local maximums where you'll sort of asymptote to a certain capability and then have to re-architect things. So now I think we're finally at a high enough local maximum, or will be this year, where to the point where it is, I think, probably safer than a person, meaning the probability of injury on average will be better than a person, even if someone pays no attention to the car. It is worth saying that right now, for human supervised Tesla full self-driving, it is dramatically safer than manual driving. It's like, I think like 4 times safer, maybe more. So it is already a massive safety improvement to have human supervised FSD right now. And I think we will get to the point where we're always going to be in some amount of local maximum, but I think that we'll be in a local maximum that exceeds human level safety this year. Yeah, but I guess we'll see. So anyway, I want to thank you all for coming, and so just want to say, your support is super appreciated, and as I say, a friend in need is a friend indeed, and supporting Tesla when the chips are down, those are the real friends, and you're them. So thank you. Okay. So with that, we can go to ad hoc questions from the audience. Okay, definitely the person in the Optimus outfit with the red cowboy hat. Great outfit. Sure. We'll try to get through as many questions as possible. And, you hit me with your toughest questions. Fine.
Okay, it is. Hey, Dad, it's your son Optimus.
Hey, kid.
Do you see it more likely that you guys will have an RV first or a cyber camper?
Well, we don't have any plans to build an RV quite yet, although I can certainly see how Cybertruck could be converted into an RV, and we are adding a lot of sort of attach points to Cybertruck, so others can build things. Somebody can have a startup, or other companies can build things that are attachments that enhance Cybertruck and turn it into a camper, essentially. Because I think it'd be really cool to have all these like third-party things available for Cybertruck.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. I mean, you could also probably just, you're that close, you could just say it or something, I don't know.
Actually, we'd like you guys to queue up behind us. So
Okay.
there's 3 mics.
All right. Yeah, so
Go
just
ahead
yeah,
and
queue
get
up.
in line. Thank you.
And try to make the question short so we can get through a lot of questions. Maybe. Oh, you mean just like a Tesla team doing a podcast about Optimus? Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, I wonder if maybe we could have a sort of like an addendum after the earnings call, which is like a 30 minutes podcast on Optimus or something, like for those who are interested. Okay, I think we'll do that. So,
Great.
All right.
Hey, Elon, thanks for doing this today. It's an awesome event. Thank you.
Welcome. Thanks for coming. Hope you guys are having a good time.
Yeah, having a great time.
I'm pretty confident we have the funnest shareholders meeting by a long shot.
Undoubtedly, yeah. It's amazing. So I'm really excited about a lot of things with Tesla. It's hard to pick a good question that is going to cover everything. But with the energy side of the business, I think it's hugely underrated. I mean, we've got tons of problems California with rolling blackouts.
Sure.
How do you think you can incentivize people, more for solar, battery backup, and we've got the referral program that's been beefed up as well. So, what are your thoughts there? How we can get people on board?
Yeah, actually, one of the challenges in California and a few other places is that in order to have the Powerwall be like an uninterruptible power supply for the house, we have to actually have a switch that disconnects you from the utility. Otherwise, you just, send energy into the grid, and it doesn't do anything. That's actually been quite difficult with utilities, but I'd like to thank PG&E for recently helping us get approval for installing the backup switch for Powerwall in California so that people can have uninterrupted power in California. And we're working on that in every jurisdiction. So I'm confident that that's going to be a great long-term situation. And then, as I mentioned, Megapack is growing very, very rapidly. So things are, things are really growing like ridiculously fast on the energy storage front. So yeah, I feel good about that situation. All right, next question.
Hello.
Great.
Hey, Elon, a lot of people have just kind of been wondering, how are you doing? So just wondering, what's up? How you doing? How you feeling? We saw you were partying in Cabo recently, so just
What, me? Must have been someone else.
Yeah, so how are you doing? Just human to human, how you doing?
Well, I have to say, it's been a bit of a roller coaster situation. It's actually pretty rare for me to be at a party. So that's like the first party I've been at in a while. And actually wasn't even going to go to it. Then my brother talked me into it. So thanks, Kimball. Yeah, I have to say, like sometimes the work pain level is quite excruciating. And then on top of that, I get dumped on in the press. So it's like, it's not exactly super fun. There was a short-term distraction because I had to do like some major open heart surgery on Twitter to ensure the company's survival. But that, I think Twitter is now in a stable place, and obviously very excited to have Linda Yaccarino join. And so I think Linda's going to do a great job running Twitter. And I'll provide, obviously, guidance on technology development. But as you can see, I think Twitter at this point has released more new features in the last 6 months than it has in the last 6 years. So, obviously this is not a Twitter meeting, but the larger point is that I feel at this point I don't need to devote incremental time. The amount of time that Twitter will take going forward is relatively small compared to the last 6 months. So yeah. Apart from there's some macroeconomic things that we can't do anything about. Overall, I feel very good about the health of the companies, and I'm increasingly optimistic about the future. Thanks for asking. It's kind of you to ask. So.
Have you guys considered stretching out the financing terms on your auto business? You talked about earlier, consumers don't necessarily look at the sticker price they're paying. All they're concerned about is monthly payment.
Right.
And one of the fundamental advantages of an EV is that it's substantially more durable. And so would you guys ever consider stretching terms out to 10 years, especially in this rate environment, given the shape of the yield curve? Extending the terms out that farther, you'd actually be capturing a lower cost of funds.
Yeah, the important thing to appreciate is that that the vast majority of the financing is from banks. So it's kind of whatever the banks are prepared to do. This year, I guess we'll do on the order of $100 billion of sales. And we don't have $100 billion in cash to finance that. So the vast majority of it has got to come from banks. So it's really the bank's choice of what they're willing to do. And it has been tricky with banks recently because, as I mentioned earlier, if you're a bank and you're not sure whether you're going to be alive or not, it's a pretty big distraction, and increasing your auto loan portfolio is very much a secondary priority. So it's just important to appreciate it's not up to Tesla, it's up to the banks. And there's not some easy solution where you can say have a so-called a captive financing arm, et cetera, because you have to securitize those loans, and the market for securitizing them is weak. There is no. I wish there was an easy path, but there isn't. So, I think it's just important to remember that the economy moves in cycles, and we've had a very long period of upcycle. The next 12 months will be, I think, difficult for everyone. And I think, when Berkshire Hathaway had their annual meeting, Warren and Charlie actually said, hey, this year, the Berkshire companies are going to make less money. They're very well-run organizations, and I think that's just generally true for the economy. So. It's also important to remember that there are good times and there are dark times, but then the good times follow the dark times. So my advice would be, don't look at the markets for the next 12 months. If there's a dip, buy the dip. And I think you will not be sorry because there's just generally a sort of there's an economic cycle to things, but things come back up. So my guess is tough times for a year. Like I said, just my guess. But then Tesla will emerge stronger than ever, and the long term, if you say net present value of future cash flows, will be incredible, in my opinion. All right. So.
Hey, Elon, meet Kevin here.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, thanks. So Tesla is the largest position in my ETF, ticker PP, and that's for pricing power.
Right.
And I'm curious, I really think that some of the features that you highlighted here, like the over-the-air airbag deployments of improving the features, the safety features, are great things that we could be advertising. I know you've heard this many times before. I know you have. But
sorry, go ahead, yeah.
$525 off every car this year is half a Netflix's advertising budget. $1,000 is the entire Netflix advertising budget, and I see their ads everywhere. Why not advertise these things that you told us here? I feel like nobody else knows about this. I just talked to Gordo, the Tesla bear, and he's still talking about 2016 New York Times pieces. These people are in the past, man.
That's like 7 years ago at this point.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's actually, I talked to a lot of people, and they still think that like Teslas are like super expensive. And like, no, actually, the starting price for a Tesla is below the average auto price in the US. It's like, and that's a good thing. I mean, I think it's good that it's that way, you know? Like, our goal was always to make cars that are affordable to the general public. So I hear you. I mean, I think, and it's indeed ironic that, you know, Twitter is like highly dependent on advertising. So, you know, here I am, it's like, you know, never used advertising really before, and now have a company that's highly dependent on advertising. So I guess I should say advertising is awesome and everyone should do it. But I think I hear your sort of larger point, which is that there are amazing features and functionality about Teslas that people just don't know about. So, yeah. And although there's obviously a lot of people that follow, like, say, the Tesla account and the you know, my account, whatever, on Twitter, to some degree, it is preaching to the choir, and the choir is already convinced. So I think what you're saying does have some merit, and you know what? I believe in taking suggestions, so we'll try a little advertising and see how it goes. Okay. Okay. All right, I wasn't expecting that level of enthusiasm, but okay. It sounds like our shareholders, if I read between the lines, subtle as it is, are saying we should probably do some advertising. Okay, very well. All right.
Hi, Elon. Hi, Tesla. Thank you for everything. So my question is regarding, you recently added Steam to the car, and that's great. We can play video games. Is Tesla currently developing the ability for other parties to develop apps for the car? For example, if we can buy actually customizable themes for the operating system of the car, I think you can make some revenue there, like that space themes for the car or Lord of the Rings or stuff like that. Do you have any interest in that right now?
Well, I mean, so I think the notion of having entertainment apps and whatnot becomes increasingly important as the cars achieve self-driving, because otherwise you can only really play games or watch movies or whatever when the car is stationary. You know, if it's charging or whatever, then you can use it. But when it's at the point at which it's full self-driving, I think it's very much about entertainment and productivity. So I think that is something that might make sense in the future. But overwhelmingly, the focus right now for Tesla software, apart from improving safety, is achieving full self-driving and then getting full self-driving to be much safer than human driving. And then once we achieve full self-driving, I think that there could be a lot of opportunity for apps and whatnot. So, but you know, even in the car as it is today, for a Model S and X, we've made a sort of a full Steam integration. So you can actually just literally log on with a Model S or X with your Steam account and play any game that is on Steam, which is a lot of games, which is pretty wild. I think a lot of people don't know that. You can play with a keyboard and mouse. You can play with a joystick or controller. You can also play Netflix, YouTube, or anything else. I mean, for my little son X, he loves watching, you know, actually loves watching rocket videos in the rear screen of the Model S and X. So yeah, so it is something that we will do long term. But what I'm saying is we already have a lot of stuff there, and we'll do more. as self-driving becomes a reality. So. Yeah.
Hey, Elon. I'm John, or Dr. Know-It-All on YouTube, and I don't know it all. But anyway, my question is, as you guys move completely or finish the transition in full self-driving from version 1.0 of the software to 2.0, what do you perceive of as the potential stumbling blocks after that? Because it seems like that's the major, kind of step change that needed to happen, and so you're almost done with that, and what happens after that? And also, please let me interview you about full self-driving. I'll spend 2 hours talking to you about just that. So, thank you.
Well, one can really think about full self-driving as sort of a march of nines of reliability. So we need to get to the point where the probability of injury is lower than that of the average human driver, and then ultimately probability of injury is much lower. So even at the point at which the car is capable of driving itself, there's still actually a lot of work to do, because every year there's 1 million people that die in auto accidents, and I think probably everyone in this audience has friends and family that have died or been seriously injured in auto accidents, and for there's like 1 million people that die. There's 10 million people roughly that are seriously permanently injured, and so it matters that if we can get that down by an order of magnitude, there's like 900,000 lives saved per year, maybe 9 million severe injuries prevented per year, and so that really, I think, morally has to be our primary goal. I guess I'm open to an interview on FSD. 2 hours is a long time, but okay. All right, I'll do an interview. It's got to be on Twitter, but sure. All right.
Hi, Elon. I'm Josh Phillips, long-term retail investor. My question's about battery-grade lithium supply in the next 10 years. Lithium experts all agree that mines are just not coming online fast enough to meet battery supply. And actually, Drew Baglino pointed this out recently. Some mines take 10 years plus to be permitted. And even GM has actually announced huge lithium deals that will secure away supply from the rest of the industry. So what's Tesla's plans to get more supply of lithium at the mine level outside of refining, but also at a deeper level than a traditional offtake? Because as we know, he who controls the spice controls the universe.
Sure. I actually think that the industry analysis is incorrect, and the constraint is fundamentally that of processing. Now, our refinery in Corpus Christi that we're building is primarily oriented towards refining spodumene, of which there is a truly vast amount in the world. I think about 3/4 of our lithium comes from Australia. And frankly, you could increase the rate at which the mines are operating, and the limiting factor is not how fast can you mine, but how fast can you process. So the mines are only going to produce ore at the rate at which refineries can handle the ore, or it's pointless. So I think my opinion, and obviously I could be wrong about this, but is that it's really not about the lithium ore. Lithium is extremely common. Lithium is everywhere. In every country's got lithium. It's not like oil. So lithium is one of the most common elements on Earth. But taking the lithium ore and refining it to battery grade is extremely difficult because the purity levels required for a battery are extremely high. If you have even a small impurity, then you will degrade the life of the cell dramatically. So you need ultra-pure battery grade lithium, and that's why our focus is on refining as opposed to mining. Thank you.
Hi, Elon. Thanks. It's a great time here. You spoke about safety in your presentation of the vehicles, and I just want to say I'm thankful to you for building such a safe vehicle because I'm here today with my son We drove in his Tesla 3 over here that he replaced with the one that he got rear-ended significantly in, and it destroyed the car. But we're able to be here today, so
great.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. So, what's your way to look? There? Okay.
Hey, how's it going? My name's Austin Gregory. I'll ask about this because I don't think it gets near enough love. But I was wondering if there are any updates on the next-gen Roadster, actually. Yeah, I know it's sort of like the cherry on top and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You guys have a lot on your plate, if you've said before. But if there's any updates on like the release time